All right, we're starting to record. Okay, so like I was saying before, if you were feeling it now, I'm feeling inadequate. So great, awesome. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of, not really. No, I'm just gonna keep trying to find that, figure out how to send him the host, but whatever. So no, we're not inadequate here. We're all figuring everything out. So if you don't judge me, you're not, you're in good company. So yeah, so what I think the point is with binders is, why don't we talk in the chat, tell me, and this is where I wanted to set you up with, was just being really transparent and really authentic. When you hear binders or anything to do with binders, client support, like honestly, it's totally okay just to tell us, like, how does that make you feel? Because I really need to know how we're starting from today. I don't really want to give you words because I want you to feel your own feelings. But for some of you, this is like, ugh, like just ugh. For some of you, like, yeah, some people just feel totally lost back in school, overwhelmed, shut down. If you work like with Dave, if you went to our Dave Blanchard retreat, like for some people, it's just that shell. Like, why can't I break out of this? Why am I hitting my head against a wall? And I think what feels so overwhelming with all of this is that at the core root of us, like, we know this is a good thing, but why can't we figure it out? And I think that makes us feel kind of broken sometimes. And I just want you guys to know, like, sometimes when you're hearing maybe me say it or someone else say it, like, just knowing you're not alone in that is sometimes just like the best feeling. So, but I mean, also the point of it is not like commiserating in it per se. It's just like feeling understood and feeling heard and knowing like we can break through this, but a lot of us are feeling like this. So I'm really happy to offer this opportunity to just kind of set some framework for you and some guidelines. But if we could all just break up with the word rules today, we are not like our beings, like over 90% of us on the line and Intake Shape for Life, when Dave Blanchard does our assessments, over 90% of us are entrepreneurial people. And entrepreneurial people, we are artists. That's how our brain works. We're always thinking about easier, simpler, different ways to do things. So our brains are on overload. But the hard part is, like, as entrepreneurs, we also fight like the sense of just being. And so maybe in the chats, if you could just tell me, like, are you relating to what I'm talking about? Like, is this you, do you feel that tinge of like, I know I'm an entrepreneurial person. I crave freedom. I crave creativity. So why is this, why can't I wrap my head around this? So 3 things that we have in common. I'm one of the over 90% too. I'm right there with you. The 3 things that we all have in common is, 4. 1, we like to all think outside of the box. We're constantly thinking outside of the box. 2, hang on 1 second. Sorry, guys. I had you all on mute a minute ago. Let me see it. Number 2 is that we resist authority. Not only do we resist authority, but it kind of ties into the next part, which is we resist structure, especially a structure that's being imposed on us by somebody where we're like part of the authority thing. Like, well, how do I know what you're saying is, you know what I mean? Like, what makes what you're saying make sense? Who are you to talk about that? Like, that's kind of a natural, innate thing that a lot of us have on the line. So So structure, the resistance to structure comes in when we have it imposed on us. So for a lot of us, we've only been taught what to do in a way that like didn't jive with our entrepreneurial spirits. So there's freedom in knowing that. I hope that you feel like just this little relief of like, I'm not broken. It's not me. I just don't know. Like I haven't wrapped my head around how to think about this yet. So then number 4 is, and I kind of talked about this earlier, but we're constantly obsessively thinking about the new, better, easier ways to do things. So we all have that in common. But I just want to ask before we go into this, like, so what do you do to quiet your mind? As entrepreneurial people, as artists, what do you do to quiet your mind? Some of you know what you do, and some of you have not taken the time to figure that out. There's a baby in here. Hi, Witten. Okay, so let's just start there, and like let's think about like how do we quiet our mind? When's a place where we've felt centered and grounded and just peace? If we can try to go into that mindset going into this, what that's going to do is bridge the gap and stand in the gap for us to cross over from our resistance into our creativity, into our artistic spirit. Does this make sense to you guys? So we just, if we work on like silencing the voices, silencing the tyranny of chaos in our brains, and just go into that artistic side of us, like that, where our true selves. Hang on one second. Brad?
I'm gonna have to keep muting everyone, so you're muted right now. Ashley, you have to unmute yourself.
No problem.
Everyone, just double check that your chats are that you're muted. We have quite a few people coming off mute today. It's Saturday morning. It's all good.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. Like this is like it's workshop style, so we're pretty casual, so it's fine. Okay, so I think that's kind of part of like using binder basics as the way to kind of bring you in. But I'm kind of setting you up in a way because really this is about freeing your mind to be creative. So just a totally like this, like I know I'm speaking to who you are because over 90% of you have this in you. So actually probably 100% of you on this line. So I'm just saying. So anyways, so another part of this is artists as entrepreneurial people is we came to Take Shape for Life for freedom. So why is this making us feel like we're in chains? Like, why is that? I'm so sick of that feeling. I felt that feeling for way too long. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we only tolerate that feeling for so long. And then we are ready to break out. And I'm hoping that today we can just break out of that feeling and embrace the freedom that is in creativity. Okay, so another mindset to think about when you're thinking about your overall client support is really client support, our jobs, health coaching, is all about consistency. And you hear it all the time. Consistency is key, the nuances, the, commitment to be consistent. But what is even, have you even looked up the definition of that? Because I did. And I was like, I love that word, but why do I like it? So, I'll tell you what it means. Hang on one second. I even took a screenshot. Okay. So go into this, still in that, like, turn off the chatter. The chatter could have come back in your brain. Go back into your peaceful place and open up your mind to this piece. So this is about consistency over perfection. To do our jobs well, and we all want to do our jobs well, it's how we're made, is to embrace consistency and let go of perfection, of expectations of perfection. We could just like let that go. And if you see it coming, not only letting it go, but telling it to go away, you know? So consistency, one of the definitions is let's see here, is the way in which a substance holds together. Interesting. So consistency. So I think people think consistent as in, oh, I'm just doing the same thing over and over. There's a truth to that too. There's a definition in that too. You know, consistency means kind of predictability. And there's truth to that too. But what if we looked at consistency through this lens today of this is the way in which a substance is held together. So what if we could use this term as the substance being our art? What if we could take this as being our art in a way that we could hold it together? And this is, do you see where this is kind of leading up to? Like this is the side I'm trying to speak to today in binder basics, but is that what we're talking about? Or is this just how we keep our art form, together and effective? So that's a question I want to ask you guys is, let me see here. Okay, so one question I asked myself, and maybe write this down and maybe you can meditate on this today, is what could it look like to be consistent? All of you, like that's a truth inside of you, you know? So what could it look like to be consistent? And if things start to pop up when you're thinking that through of, oh my gosh, I haven't called my clients in 3 weeks and I'm so unorganized and I feel so guilty, like observe that, let it come to the surface, face it, not like, but not dwell in it. Let's not like roll around in our mud. Just let it come to the surface, acknowledge it, and then put it away. Like this isn't about the past. This isn't about our failures. Like you came here to grow and like live in that truth of who you are. So I would just ask, like, look at it, observe it, learn from it, and turn it into wisdom instead of guilt. Does that make sense? Okay. So use it. Okay, so that's where I saw some of my like holes. I was like, consistency for me, well, I feel incongruent. I don't feel authentic. All of these things are coming from like a root cause. What is that? And for me, it was started at client support. It started at just the basic fundamental foundations. And that sounds silly and unimportant, but then why was it bringing down my my artistic side of my career? You know what I'm saying? So let's just like let that go and just ask ourselves, what could my life look like to be consistent in my art form, in my career, in my vocation? Okay. So the next part is, speaking to your artistic side, is what if we lived at the axis point of creation and work? That to me, I mean, you can, I'll say it again. So what could it look like to live at the axis point of creation and work? Are any of you on here, put in the chat, if you're an artist, can you put in the chat what your media is? Music. Okay. Music, this makes a lot of sense with music too. Does anyone here play jazz? Okay, Denise. So jazz is like, you heard this when you came to, actually, you heard this in a speech with us about how jazz is like, there's It's pretty loose. It's like there's a, you're with other people, you're playing music and it's beautiful, but it's your art coming through. Does anyone play piano? Okay, so Antonio, Annie, there's some others of you. Piano is also about, you can be super, you tune it and then you can fine tune it, but it's staying within your keys, right? Like if you're staying within a certain key, it's going to sound gorgeous, but you can do so much creativity within that. Once you get really good and you become a master, that's like what the maestros do. Like they build off of the foundations, but they have to get so good at the basics, you know, and that's just through consistency. Then they start more and more flexing their creative muscles. But they never could have got to that creative point if they hadn't allowed themselves to embrace the structural side of their art. And they could breathe. They knew they were artists. They knew, you know, what they wanted to do and what they were creating. So it wasn't stomping down who they were to be within structure. It was making them even better at their art. Does this make sense? Okay, so I've got lots of piano players, dancers. Oh, that's a great one. So many different styles of dance out there. But you know this too. You always work on your fundamentals because it propels you into your artistic, creative side. Okay, photography, that's a huge one. Watercolor, yes. You guys are really artistic. None of this surprises me because if you are an entrepreneurial person, that's what you are. You're an artist. You have to practice scales before you play Beethoven sonatas. Exactly. You have to tune your ear. You have to tune your body. Like everything comes into this and then you're just like going off, right, on your art piece. That's all this is. That's all I'm showing you today. Does this make sense? No? I hope it does. I hope that's what it is. Like if we could just embrace our creativity at the core root of who we are, like we are creators. And I feel like we partner with creation. That's what I feel like our true job is. Okay. So in that being said, like, let's look through that lens and keep going back to this. And if the slave driver in the back of your head starts to chatter, slap it. Say, no, we're staying creative today. That's all we're doing. Okay. What else do I have for you? Oh, here's another question. You can write this down. I think you'll know immediately though. What does it feel like for you when you are in the presence of someone that's a master at their art? Some of you go to concerts for that feeling. Some of you go to galleries for that feeling. You want to talk with the artist and ask, like, what was this? Where did this come from? Like, you just want to be in the presence of someone that is so good at their art. If you've never done that, I would encourage you, maybe this weekend, find like what inspires you. Maybe it's sports, maybe it's painting, maybe it's music, maybe it's a really good barista. You live in Portland, like they have barista competitions. There are good baristas here. Maybe it's a chef, maybe it's I don't know. But whatever it is for you, like go to like that part in your soul. Maybe it's that thing you're always like, I wish if in another life, there's like this other piece of me that I always think like deep down, I'm, you know, this like art, you know, painter or whatever it is. If you haven't been in the presence of somebody like that in a long time, I don't even care if it's an amazing gas station attendant. Like we just had one of those experiences the other day. I was like, why is he so good at his job? Why is he so happy and joyful and like turning what a lot of people would complain about into influence. I would encourage you to sit in that space with that, in whatever it is. Concerts are pretty easy to find. Galleries are pretty easy to find, but it's got to matter to you. And just get, if you can, just get in that space and like feel the art. And my dream for you is that people will have come over time as you become the maestro, that people come to you to sit in your art. If you could take this vocation and turn this into your art, and people came to you and just wanted to like bask in that, how would that feel? Like, how would it feel? Not in the accolades. I'm not talking about artists. Don't generally, amazing artists aren't doing things for accolades. Generally speaking, they probably wouldn't last that long if they did. Hang on, I'm echoing. Honey, I'm echoing myself. Anyways, whatever. It's fine. Whatever. I can just hear myself in another room. Okay, so that's the point today. Does anyone have any questions? Put them in the chat. I'm going to go through your chat. I love you too, Lori. I'm reading your chats right now. So some of you are having this hard time switching your brain from like this physical thing, this very like, is it animate? Opposite of inanimate? Whatever object, like you're having this hard time from tangible reality into your true, I feel like your true calling, your true being of like your artistic side. And that's where I really want you to be around people who are more artistic. If that's really hard for you, if you're not, I think you'd be surprised. If you feel like I'm in a town that doesn't have like concerts, I don't have art, I think you'd be surprised. What if you went to the local, just be around some local business owners in a small town. It's not hard to find like people who are really good at hands-on things. Really good woodworkers. You know, people like that. Oh, this is a great, yeah, if there's a local university, there's always things to attend and see. Yes, DVDs of ballet. You guys have such good ideas. Saturday market, yes. These people, those are entrepreneurs. Those are people who are hustling because they believe in their art and they're dedicating their life and their craft. 2/3 of your life goes to work. Do you realize that? 2/3. What if you took your hang on, I can't, 1 second. Okay, the door was open. I kept hearing myself late and I was like, that's the worst. Anyways, so yes, if you have a hard time finding an artist, seriously, contact us because we'll help you. You will be amazed. Like in my town, I come from a small town, I would consider the mechanic to be an artist. That guy treats his job with such pride and such skill. Go to a hairdresser. If you ever knew a hairdresser that loves their craft, is so good at their craft, and a lot of their craft is connecting with people. So they take their artistry and they get trained in their artistry, and they get a lot of the good ones go to training constantly. And they combine that with making people feel beautiful. I don't think that's far off from what we do too. It's not hard to find artists. So in all reality, I don't think it's going to be that hard to be one too, you know? Yeah. A lot of you are like in the chat, like, yes, I was just having this conversation. Like, I feel you. I want to spend my time doing things important. And of course you do. That's how you're wired. Look at the statistics on who we are. Like, that's how people that come to Take Shape for Life are wired. So it's 9:30, but this was the most important part. Honestly, this is the most important part. Everything I'm going to show you after that is just to support your art. Are we good with this? Are we cool? Okay. Okay. So what you do, you know this deep down, you know this, what you do and how you do it matter. Some people think, well, it's not what I do. It's not what I do, it's who I am. No, I don't believe that at all. I think what you do and who you are both matter. And what you do and how you do it matters so much to you. If you shut that down, you're shutting down such an important part of who you are. And I think you know that, and it doesn't feel good. So we're going to own all those pieces today. So I invite you, just bring this creativity with you into this process. We're just going to go through the process. You're going to see just some of the things that I do that help me be my best in my art. And you're going to take those things. You're going to love some of it. Some of it you're going to think, I wonder if I could, how do I take this and make this into my art? So this is not copy paste, unless, you can, but this is really just techniques for your art, okay? Yeah, you guys are saying some really cool stuff. Talking about how, our tendency to separate those worlds and, I think we do. I think we're kind of taught that culturally. I think we're taught that. And I don't think culture is not timeless. I think a timeless statement forever and ever and ever, from very beginning of humans to the very end of humans, is really what I'm trying to speak to. So I would ask you, you already know, because you question authority, is you're constantly questioning, who makes me think like this? Who made me feel like this? Where did this come from? Why is society pushing this on me? Why is culture pushing this on me? Like, own that and push it and question it. Why do I feel like this? Where is this coming from? Your brain already goes there. I would say, use that into pushing you more and more into who you are as a person and who you're meant to be. Okay. Cool. Cool. Any questions? We can continue on this all morning. Cool. All right. Well, let's pull out our binders, guys. So here we go. Let's do it. Going into our artsy place. Okay. So everybody have their binder. Here's mine. I had to get a bigger one. For anyone that knows my old polka dot had to go. It's too skinny. I had to go for a bigger one. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through a day in the life of my client support day. How's that sound? Good? Cool. Okay, so first things first, I start with my mat. That's it. So if you haven't filled out, awesome. If you don't yet, I would, it's the beginning of the month. We can get it done today or whatever. But all I put on today so far to show you the example was I filled in all my scheduled B Slims, right? My run over list back here. And then I'm starting to highlight the orders that have processed. So on my 1 day a week, for me, it's Tuesday. But whatever day for you is not a chaotic day. So look at your week. When is a day you can just turn off chaos? For some of you, you're like, that's not a day. Maybe that's something to look at. Maybe that's something to challenge. Why is that? Why is there not a day that I can't turn off some chaos? Because for us to be artistic, artists don't really, some artists function in chaos, but the greats don't, you know? And I think that that's something to really think about. So when there's a time, a space that you can be in your creation, that artistic side of you, that's the day to choose. So for me, it's Tuesday. That's my carved out, no chaos that day. It's all about this. So that morning, this isn't a training on pulling on reports or how to do a map. So I'm just telling you what my day looks like. So that morning, I pull my orders report for that, the month so far. Every Tuesday morning, this is what I do. I pull my orders report and I highlight the orders that have gone in. That's how I just keep my map going, nice and easy. I don't have to overthink it. It's already worked into my my month or whatever, my week. So that's what I do that day. Then once I have it fully filled out, I also, as you're tracking your senior coaches over here, I also pull all their reports and I check their orders too. So every Tuesday morning, this is what I do. Then once this is all updated, I take this, you can make notes of how I'm doing this, and I print I print off this into black and white copies. Okay? Like that. That's this is all updated on all my orders. Now this is how I'm going to run. This is like my backup running method of how I know who I'm going to call on Tuesday. This is how people don't slip through the cracks anymore with me. This is how I catch my leads. This is how I catch those random orders. This is how I catch people just popping out of nowhere. Because what would happen before is I'd go 3 weeks. I know I saw the email in my email, but it doesn't register if I'm not in my, zone, if I'm not in the mode. So they would just fall through the cracks. Now they don't. I'm always catching it because I'm checking it every week. So nothing falls really behind anymore. Does that make sense? Cool. So then what I do is I just 3-hole punch that, and that just goes right into my binder. Like I just, that black and white copy. My map's already in my binder, and so I just put this right in there. Okay. And now the next part is, let me show you hey Brad, hon, can you bring in some napkins? There are some spills in here. I just don't want it to get on distracting everybody. Okay, so here's where I start. This is my client support binder, okay? And you're going to be moving stuff constantly. That's why I recommended the one I did with the Easy Pop D-Ring. Thank you, hon. Okay, so you're moving files constantly.
I know a little bit right.
Oh, stop.
Take some water.
Stop it. Oh my gosh. Thanks, hon. Okay, so anyways, so so this is what I recommend. D-Ring with the Easy Opener. So I started off just right here, section 2. This is why I recommended the plastic paper file thingies. And this is why I recommended printing these. And that just goes right here, right in front. So that's my new clients. And then You know how you get new clients that are they are processed, but you're waiting for their orders to come in? So I put those people right behind that page in front of everything. Like they're right here. So they're not falling off track. Like they're not falling out of my mind, you know? And they're conveniently located because the next step is once they get started, this is my system. This was my creative way of doing it. But I really want you to think, what's your creative way of doing this? And if this works for you, great. If there's something else that makes more sense to you, great. But this is what I did. I filed tab day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. So I can move my first 4-day people along just to have them right there. Does that everybody make sense? Any questions on that? I think we're good. Okay, cool. So then, okay, so I don't want this to be too confusing for you. Like, don't try to get too clerical on this. But behind the day 4 is where I leave people, like here. I leave them behind that day 4. So at the end of that file, I leave them here until they place their second full month order. And my goal, ultimately, as my art improves, my goal is that they're getting more and more integrated before I even move them to the next one. My goal is that I've got them onto a 3-way celebration day call with a mentor. My goal is that they're participating in my client support Facebook group. Everybody's different, and I really want to respect every client. I'm really big on that. Trust and respect with my clients is like number 1. So I'm not pushing people or setting expectations on them by not listening to them. That's not like their jam to be on Facebook. I'm not like, oh, well, you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm just encouraging and trying to speak to like what matters to them. I hope that makes sense. So I leave them there. That's where they go. So every Tuesday, I'm just going through this. Okay, hang on. Let me go back on questions. Why do you print off black and white copies of MAP? I will show you in just a minute. And then, okay, perfect. Okay, so let me show you actually why I do that. Okay, here's my black and white copies. This is why I print it every week. I need a backup method to stay on my game. I just do. I know my art. I have to have a backup method. So for me, hang on. Here we go. For me, as I go through my binder, I'm crossing off who I talk to. So even though I make notes on all of my, clients and whatever, right? I'm making all my notes on the back of their sheet, right? So I mean, my notes are there, but this is my way of making sure no one is slipping through any cracks. Okay, so I'll show you. So Justin Saldano, where is he? I don't know. Let me find out. I'm trying to find easy ones, okay? Let's see. Christine. Okay, so here's Christine. Here's Christine. 6 whatever, 7 whatever. Left message, text. If I ever leave a voicemail, I always send a text, just so you guys know. That's just my vibe. That's what I like to do. So, anyways, yeah, so I make my notes. Great, perfect, done. And then I go on to this, my black and white copy of my map, and I go to Christine's name. I'm having the hardest time finding them today because normally I'm in order. Here we go. Okay, Christine, highlight, done, check. Cool? Hang on, let's see. So people stop ordering. Are you still checking in with them weekly, or what do you do with those people? Okay, hang on. Working copy. What does your text say? Who do you say you put on after the 4th of July, the people pending their second order, right? After the 4th. Oh, the 4th day. Sorry, 4th of July. And then who is on your map? Okay. Let's go through this first, and then I want to go back and answer these, okay? So, okay. So this is just organization. I'm not trying to teach you too many nuances right now. I'm really just trying to show you basic organization. I don't want you to think too hard into like, what does Ashley do? Because this is about what works for you, what works for Antonio, what works for Carolina, what works for Tanya, what works for Karen. Do you know what I mean? So try not to like dial in like, how much time does Ashley spend on a call and what does she do and what does she say? Like, go into what that's our entrepreneurial shadow side. Like, let's go up forward into our creative artistic side. Well, what would you say in a text? You know your person, you're building a relationship, you know? Like, let's try to go there more right now. I'm not saying I won't answer your questions. I'm just saying, like, try to shut off chatter and just go into your art. Okay, so step whatever we're on. This is the next section. So I showed you my first 4 days and my first month where they all go. Now here's people, these are active clients. This is the people who are like, they've placed their second order or more, and like, this is just where I keep them. Okay. So that was my section 3, and that was in that plastic thing. Again, just my personal preference. Some of you are going to not want any color, file, nothing. Some of you want alphabetical. Some of you want whatever. Maybe some of you, I don't know, whatever your thing is for your art that makes sense to you. What I do is I just like time zone tabs. That's it. That's all I like for me, because I don't like missing my East Coasters when it's 5 o'clock here and I'm like, oh, no, I forgot to call Millie. Oh, drives me crazy. I just want to get everything done at once on the same day and not be like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. That kind of stuff drags me down. Like that kills my art. So I just try to keep it like functioning easily. So that's what I do. Here's my Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific, and some of you might need Island. That's it. That easy? Hang on 1 second. Yeah, exactly. It's all about incorporating to meet your needs, your style, your vibe. Your clients are different than mine. You know what I mean? Like all that. Hang on. Hun, are you talking? Can't hear you.
There we go. Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Which I'm loving about this. I just like, this is something that Ashley personally helps me out with over and over, like this artistic side into our business. And so Ashley, could you speak to something? Because we actually, I just want to thank you guys again for the amazing event that we had with Dave at the beginning of last month. It was a lot of fun. And we actually consulted with Dave quite a bit before having this class. And one thing that Dave pointed out is that Ashley is an amazing artist, and she brings this in, and it helps me with everything she's talking about. But you also, like, Ashley, you find, like, the perfect balance between, like, because we're in the middle of boot camp right now. Many of these people are on boot camp. They're learning all these little steps along the way. And so you're so artistic, but I wouldn't say you go outside the realm of what we're learning in boot camp. But you're talking in you're finding the balance of you inside the system. You constantly check back with me, like, hey, Brett, I know this. I'm just analytical. I understand systems. Like, they just make sense to me. Excel spreadsheets, they just speak to me. So I get that kind of stuff. So you're always kind of checking back, like, you have the pace, but you are running it through your artistic mind. Could you just speak to that balance of that for a second?
Sure. So Brad finds a lot of comfort in structure and a lot of, like, security in it, where I find a lot of, like, resentment and rebellion, and neither are right or wrong. It's just, like, confronting who we are. And I just want to be really good at my art. That's my biggest desire. And I study the greats. I know that they embrace a structure that empowers their art. So I don't have a rebellious edge to something that makes sense to me. You have to find what makes sense to you. That's why I'm just like, do what makes sense to you. Use your side. Hang on, let's see here. Yeah, like some of you, like just knowing the structure of a map and getting your map in on the first, it invigorates your art. It's good for your art, you know? That's like encouraging you to push it to the next level. And that's so good. Like that's so what you're made to do for you, you know? Let's see here. Let's see what else. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like when I realized I really wanted to live in that axis of creation and work and like that spot as my art, structure was like my next level. Does that, you guys get what I'm saying? I think that's why you're here, because you're ready for your next level, but you're also like, how do I keep my art? How do I keep my freedom? How do I keep my creative spirit? And that's what I do. That's why I do what I do. Does that answer the question, Brad?
Yeah, I think it really does. I mean, what I just love about it is you use every nuances, but you're just saying, like, one of my favorite sayings is eat the fish, spit out the bones. So all your pieces are there, but you're making sure you're doing it in a way that is your own way and speaks to your artistic value. But it's one and the same. It's like you're following the same steps, the cadence is there, but you're not being constrained by structure or how you do things. You're blending both of them. So yes, I thought that was a really good way of sharing how you do that.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah. I hope that helps everybody. So let me just show you real quick, because we're basically to the end of the files. That was easy. So, so let me just show you. Okay. So here's my time zones, right? This is just my easy way of tracking these. I might even add time zones back into my first. This is me. This is my art right now. This is how I vibe. Is like, you're going to be doing this, and over like then maybe the next, if you just commit to yourself and your art, like I want to commit to the next 4 weeks, choose your day that's not chaos. You're breaking up with busy and chaos. That day is for you. And do that for the next 4 of those days, like whatever that day of the week is, Wednesday, the next 4 Wednesdays, whatever. And watch your creative side flourish, because you're tuning it before you're fine-tuning it. That's when we get overwhelmed, is when we try to like I said, it's not about perfect. Perfection kills art. We're done with that. We're not playing in that playground. We're in the flexible, consistent, side of things. And so just right now, I just realized, like, I do think I want to bring tabs back into that where I showed you my days 1 through 4. I do think I want to bring time zones in, because I have so many more people from different time zones now in my first month. So it would just make sense for me. Hope that makes sense to you. Okay. So you're just watching, like, that's how things come up. Okay. So now that was file 3. And then, right? Yeah. Section 3. That was it. That's where I keep everybody. Just little things I like to keep. I like to keep extra copies of the back of the map just ready for me, because I'm finishing one sheet and then I start my next and I just staple it on. So I like to have that handy. I like to have extra copies of my map handy. I like to keep my past maps in the back. Let me show you. Like, okay, like I like to keep all this kind of stuff. I like to track my maps, because really, and you're going to see this too from this day forward, you're just going to watch the difference explode. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you January. Just watch. This is when, January is when I really started to embrace this. Hang on. I'm just going to show you. Okay, watch. These were my clients in January. Brad and I, we hit over 6,000, but we split. So I only write down the ones I'm supporting. This is who I track. That's it. That's January. That's when I started being consistent. That's when I showed up for myself, for my art every Tuesday was January. Okay. After a long time of being hit or miss. This here were my B Slims for February. That's the difference. This was March. A little less. Oh, well, my game didn't change. My art didn't change. Do you see what I'm saying? But I felt better. Then I was like, okay, if that's the case, then I'm ready to bring on more clients. That was the next month. Watch June. I almost had to start a new one. Do you see what consistency and living in your art does? I broke up with my rebellious spirit and I embraced my creative spirit. Does that make sense? Okay, then I hope that helped. Any last things? Label it. Okay, yes. Okay, good. Thank you for the inspiration. You're welcome. Yes, corral the creation. Yes. Okay, good. Good. You guys can come off mute now. Talk to me. We've got 1 minute.
Hey, Ashley.
Yes.
I think this is funny because this is actually like a real question for me. Like, bring me your creative side over here. And I know a lot of people have asked me this personally this week, and I think maybe kind of chat. What do you do with people? You know, we're exactly halfway through this year right now. Like, a lot of people, like, you know, their coaching businesses, their maps have evolved just like yours have. Like, some people weren't even here at the beginning of the year. What would you recommend? Like, we're going into summer right now. As you're starting off your map, I personally am realizing that, like, some of my clients don't really know what they're doing and don't have, like, a strong, like, goal with them because they've been on plan. They've, like, made massive changes in their health. I maybe don't have a strong why for them, or maybe just haven't had that click. I'm looking at my B funds that are a little bit scattered this month. Like, I'm actually filled up, you know, doing this and from my class, or this class right now, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I want to create? So what do you do with all these people that are potential clients that have kind of like moved around their B Slim? You don't really know what you're doing with them. Like, they're not on your they're not really ordering. What do you do to, like, kind of like, as you start off the month with all these people, how do you kind of funnel your energy towards all this potential? This is all potential frontline volume. These are all potential people that really need help. How do you kind of handle all that?
It's a good question. I'm trying to think of okay, here's my just practical answer. I pull my scheduled B Slims and fill in my map. That's going to give me the baseline. That could be what you just said. I think everyone thinks that, and to me, that's such an overwhelming thing to think about. That's such an overwhelming place to be. And so for me, I just have to go to what I know, you know? That's where I just pull to. So what I know is, I know there's scheduled B Slims. I know there were orders that went in last month. I know that if someone ordered, let me give you, it's 10:01. I really want to respect your time, but real quick, for some of you are like, I don't know what this person's doing and da-da-da-da-da-da. Here's my philosophy. I got paid as an ED $100 for 4 phone calls. I think I can make 4 phone calls. I think I can send 4 text messages. If someone just the other day was driving someone nuts and they're like, do you ever get just tired of being like told how it is? And I was like, I get paid to be told how it is. I love my craft. I'm good at my art. So it doesn't bother me when when my client's process is to be a teller, because I'm building trust. I'm a safe place for them. Does this make sense? So if you're thinking about these people are like, I just don't know what they're doing and are they active and just like slow it down and let's just just choose a perspective. And my perspective is I get paid really well to just build trust, whatever that means to that client. Everybody is different. What I think it means doesn't matter. It's what they think it means. So if you've got somebody who's out in la land, you can call 4 times a month. It's okay. Like, it's not overwhelming. It's really actually pretty fun. Does that help, Brad? So my structure starts with my mindset. It starts with my perspective. Now I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Then I pull my map. I pull my scheduled B Slims. I look at last month's orders. I personally, when I started this, I really needed to pull 3 months back because I had been so inconsistent. That was on me. That's not on my clients. That was on me. So I needed to pull 3 months at least back. When I really wanted to shoot my front line, I pulled 6 months back and started making phone calls and got consistent. I didn't earn because I wasn't being consistent. I didn't earn for them to be consistent. Like, I had to do it first. I had to be the maestro. Now they are gleaning off of my consistency. Does that help?
Yeah, it really does. And I had actually a bunch of questions this week. I don't know if anyone feels this way, especially all the kids coming home. Kind of threw a wrench in people's schedule. Like, what if you haven't been consistent on your calls with people? Like, I think that is something like, I remember actually, what was it, March? When we were good, I mean, we always kind of have a really loose, with our calls, like we have a really fluid relationship with our clients. They're just as much friends as they are clients. But we just drew a line in the sand that this week and this week forward, we call on Tuesdays, and we're not going to miss it. Like, but some people, and for me, I was like, well, how do you just do that all of a sudden when there's probably like 3 or 4 people where I'm like, I didn't even contact them for the last 3 weeks. I feel so bad about that. Mm-hmm. What do you do to just get back in the groove if that is someone here today?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest, creativity art killers for me. That's why I said I have to have all these checks and balances, backup methods so that does not happen for me, because I know me and I know that kills me. And you guys have that's something so deep in you is such a high percentage of you being responsible. I don't really know the word that I'm trying to think of. Not responsible, but you guys have such integrity. Is so important to you. It kills you when you feel out of line with it. It kills you. And so I would say today, if I have any authority at all, which I don't think I do, but if I did, I would say the past is the past and today is new. This week is fresh. I'm going to live in my art this week, and I'm going to practice it next week. And in a month from now, I'm going to be better. And a month from that, I'm going to be better. And if I, for some reason, like this last week, the first time in about 4 months, I had a weird Tuesday, which is my day, right? It was heavy. It crushed me. I mean, if I had let it, it would have crushed me. But I think because I've been consistent for so long that it didn't kill me. I was like, it's going to be okay. None of my clients were affected. Everyone was fine. Everyone just moved on. So I mean by building that trust. With trust comes grace. You've got to do the groundwork to get there. You've got to be consistent to get there. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some freedom. Today is new. We're just I've even told some of them, I was like, you know what? Just how I'm being transparent with you. If being transparent helps you, it's not about feeling bad for yourself. It's just like, I'm taking my career to the next level. I want to be the artist here. Like, this is what I want to do. Okay, you guys are saying this is helpful. I hope it is. There's some questions I'm going to get back to you guys on about little things, but mostly just like this energy, this vibe, this like, you guys are so good at what you do. You know what you're doing. Like, just like live in that, you know? Just make it simple, make it fun. But in order to be fun, it needs to be creative for you. Does that answer, Brad?
Yes.
An artist
also
from
one thing-
scratch. I love it. Did you guys know? I'm pretty sure, I could be totally wrong, but I think Van Gogh didn't start his art till he was like 27. He was not a prodigy child. You guys are not expected to be prodigy children. Give yourself that grace. The greats didn't start until they were adults. A lot of them didn't. Some of them were born that way. Good, good for them. But like, and that's great. That's awesome. That's a huge gift. What you were born with the clay you were given, that you are owning now, that's your version of your prodigy. Does that make sense? You are just taking it and now morphing it into your art. So you're starting your art today. Like, this is your artwork. And then, imagine how good in 10 years you're going to be. In 5 years, you're going to be. You're going to be the maestro, The masters take over, what is it, like 10,000 hours or something? It's like 10 years. Just be consistent. It'll all add up. Okay. I love you guys. I hope this helped. Oh man, I could stay here all day, but I really need to respect your time. All right, guys. Brad, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, you want to wrap it up and then
I
actually
don't
just
want
leave it
to,
open?
but I need to. What?
Actually, let's wrap it up, and then if anyone wants to stay on, we can just have open wrap time for those that don't have anywhere to go. So
Cool.
I guess
I'll
we
stop
get.
the
This is good.
recording. Was that?
That's good.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Have an amazing holiday weekend. Go find your artists, your inspiration. Go be inspired. And just have a really fun weekend, okay? I'm going to hit stop on recording.